Man's way of challenging his daughter to get good grades causes a heated debate on social media. They say that one of the most challenging jobs one will ever be handed is being a parent. A life, or rather several lives, if you have multiple kids, are on the line, all on your hands. Kids have to be taken care of, and a parent's duty is to make sure they get sufficient care, mentally and physically. Their social conduct and education also depends on parents. This dad made a promise to his daughter that led to an unforeseen outcome. For any student, an examination is not something every kid looks forward to, and no matter where you are, living in the United States or any other country in the world, for someone in their teen years, studying is something to worry about. To prepare for major exams is indeed a dreadful time. And so even for Molly Rollins, getting her exam results in August of 2018 was a terrifying task. This was an important time in her life. A significant result awaited. She was truly nervous to see what her scores showed as she opened the envelope. It was then and there that her dad's promise backfired. So where does Molly live? Well, she is just another teenager growing up in Rhondda, Wales. She was on the verge of completing her studies in secondary school and had just given her examination. She wanted to excel in this test because she had a few reasons for the same. This girl had a few plans of her own. So what did Molly plan on doing after completing her secondary schooling? Well, the teenager aspired to study her A-levels, which is a tough exam for students to get a general certificate of education in the UK. She had to prepare well in order to do well in the subjects she knew she would be tested on. Molly was a very determined young lady. She always wanted to do well in anything she set her mind to. And so if Molly put her mind to achieving something, she always makes sure she delivers. And so the option of giving up was never there for her. Molly promised herself that she would get the highest grades possible. So since she wanted good grades, she was willing to work for it. She would set aside a few hours each night just for studying, and did not even indulge in weekend activities. Molly was set on educating herself on each of the topics and the subjects as much as she could, and in the end, all her efforts would pay off. And after all her hard work and sweat, Molly was finally done with her exams. She gave the best she could give, and so all that was left to do was wait for her results. So soon after her exams got over, Molly had to wait for her results to come in. Then the wait was over on August 23, 2018, which was the day the results came out. Though she studied well and did the best she could, Molly was still nervous. The reason was that she needed to ace this exam for a good future. And when she opened the envelope, she could not have been happier to see all the A's across the 14 subjects. "I worked so hard, but I never thought it would actually happen," the teenager revealed. So Molly could not wait to open and find out what fate had in store for her. "I came to school a bit late, and then I opened the envelope with my friend," Molly stated. "When I opened the results, I was just in tears. I burst out crying. I spoke to one of my teachers, and he said they were the best results the school had ever seen." And then when Molly finally got to see the results, she could not have been happier. It was what she had worked so hard for, what she had always been praying for. But then, as she was celebrating her good news, Molly suddenly remembered a small promise that her dad had made to her, a promise he would soon regret. So what exactly did her dad promise this excited young girl? Well, during the beginning of her school year, Molly's father made a promise to her. He had very clearly stated that for each A that Molly received on her exams, there would be a cash prize. Her father promised to pay her £100, which is about $126 US. And this was indeed a factor that had contributed to Molly being so driven and focused. As for her father, the small promise was something of a joke. He was just saying it out of the need to make his daughter work hard. But then, though he wanted to do this for his daughter, he had never expected it to backfire in a damn expensive way. So how did her dad come up with this plan anyway? He must have had a good reason to be offering her such a prize to do well. This is what Clive, Molly's dad, revealed when asked about how all this came about. "It was 2 years ago now, and it was a bit of a joke at the time," Clive recalls. "I had a bit of a shock when I heard the results." And to hear about his daughter's success in trying to prove herself would have definitely made him happy, right? But to see her supersede his expectations, we're pretty sure got him a little shocked. In the end, he had to hand her 1,400 pounds. That's more than $1,700 if we're speaking in American dollars. And so since her dad would occasionally joke around about giving her money for her good grades, even Molly would laugh along sometimes. And when Molly was asked about this, she explained that her father's promise of financial rewards became a joke in their household over the course. But then, even though her dad's promise was quite appealing, it was not the only thing that drove Molly to strive for greatness. Now, though, the money that her dad told her he would give her was handsome. She wanted to work hard for another reason, too. She actually wanted to do this for herself, on top of all things. Molly then explained the whole situation later to the interviewers. It started out as a family joke that soon became a bit of a talking point. It first came up 2 years ago before I started my exams. I was just joking around saying, "What are you going to give me when I pass?" Even she never predicted that this would happen. And so what started off as a joke of sorts gradually became a serious topic of conversation. Molly was told by her father that she would receive incentives based on her performance. She was instructed by her dad that if she were to do well, she would get the prize. The joke then manifested into a reality that shocked everyone. Since she had wanted to do well, with the addition of her father pushing her to make her even more set on her goal, Molly worked hard. And as the days grew nearer for the exam to happen, Molly started to nag her dad a bit. She started to ask him how much he thought would be the amount he would have to pay her. And so when Molly was asked about her father's promise, she had a few words to say. Molly truly did not have an idea of how her grades were going to turn out, and though she was adamant on scoring a good result, even she did not expect that her father would end up owing her this much money. So after waiting for so long, her results came, and Molly finally learned the outcome of her hard work. It was indeed fruitful, and she could not have been more excited. And so with the results that his daughter got, Molly's father decided to gift her with a card. And with this came a blank check, too. Since this had been a promise to her, Molly and her whole family were all aware of the promises being made. It was just a joke, but a few of my dad's friends knew about it and kept winding him up. We kept the joke going, really, she explained. However, her dad was the kind of man who wanted to keep his word. So since her dad had to pay her such a huge amount, Molly's story became a heated debate on social media. Her story was interesting enough that several news sites reported about Molly and her father's promise. This soon ended up in a clash of opinions regarding the rights and wrongs of how her father had handled the situation. Many people were a little disapproving of the fact that her father had handed her such a huge sum of money since she was still so young, and there was a common concern that she should not have been promised too much, that a lower amount would have sufficed. Would this have been better to give a child some motivation? There were so many people online who had their opinions to share. There was one particular user who had left a comment stating that her mom and dad would offer to pay her $1 for each passing grade she scored on her exams. This was indeed a healthy amount, and her parents' money was not hampered with a foolish promise. This user was also quite disapproving of the way Molly's dad used bribery as a means to get her to achieve something. She did not agree that the way he made her get her job done was with a bribe. According to her, Molly's father should not have used money, but should have merely taught her the pleasure of a job well done. Now, though there were a lot of people who did not agree with the way Clive handled this whole situation, some were all for his ways. The money is an incentive, just like anything in life. You know you have to work hard if you can see a great goal ahead. One user left a comment. Some agreed that teaching kids the value of money early on is harmless. But then, like always, there was another user who had disagreements. This user explained, parents should motivate through showing their kids what they can achieve for themselves and others. It should be through money. Molly did not think for a second that their little story about her father's promise would ever cause this much clash of opinions. Though there was so much argument going on around social media and on the internet regarding her dad's ways, Molly's family remained unaffected and unbothered. They were not focused on negativity and hate. It was all in good fun for my family, Molly later revealed to the media. And then there was a shocking decision that Molly made. She soon revealed that the money was not something that she could have ever taken from her dad. It was too much an amount anyway. For Molly, her studies and her education was the topmost priority she had, nothing more. The downside that Molly had to go through in this whole process was waiting. Even though she had to do a lot of studying, she was still sure that the possibility for her to fail one of her subjects was high. And so when her results were released, she informed her dad that he could keep his money. So after receiving her result and passing with flying colors, Molly then got her hands on her blank check. Molly and her friends decided to host a garden party to celebrate. But then, as she was busy celebrating her success, she suddenly remembered her father helping her when her exams neared. "It's just down to really hard work," Molly explained. "My father always said you get out what you put in, and that has been proved right today." All because of his promise to give her the money, Clive was now £1,400 poorer. However, all this was in their advantage as his daughter was able to get her high scores. So her exams were done. Molly was now getting ready for her academic future. Though she is certain that she wants to join a university, she is still unsure of what course or where she would like to go. And since she had high scores to back her up, there was nothing there to stop Molly to pursue her goals. The money would have certainly helped with her funding.